Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support the Maintenance of Racial Harmony Bill, but I have some questions and concerns to the proposed provisions in this bill relating to clans and business organizations which will be designated as race-based entities under this bill. I declare that I am an honorary advisor of the Singapore Teochew Poe Hui Kwan. Mr. Deputy Speaker, according to MHA, clan and business associations linked to the Chinese, Malay, and Indian races would be designated race-based entities under this bill and be subject to measures to curb possible foreign influence. It was reported that, according to MHA's preliminary estimation, this bill, once passed, would result in the designation of more than 300 such entities in Singapore. The CNA reported that, according to MHA, organizations that promote the interests of a racial group or subgroup are potential entry points for such influence, and entities may be designated if their objectives and activities represent the interests of any race or issues relating to it, and that, I quote, designation is deemed necessary or expedient to preempt, prevent, or reduce any foreign influence that may undermine racial harmony in Singapore, unquote. Mr. Deputy Speaker, while I agree that clan and business associations linked to races should be protected from foreign political influence and interference, I am concerned with the possible impact the new rules may have on our clan associations and other race-based associations whose focus may be cultural and economic and not political. Clauses 18 to 22 of this bill provides for regulations imposing reporting obligations on designated entities. Clause 18.1 requires that designated entities will generally be required to report the foreign donations and anonymous donations that they accept, subject to the regulations to be provided. Clause 18.2 sets out various matters that may be prescribed by the regulations to be included in the reports to be submitted by designated entities. They include the classes of foreign donations and anonymous donations that need not be reported. May I ask the Minister what would be the classes or types of foreign donations which designated entities will be required to be reported? Would these be categorized by a monetary limit? Clause 19.1 requires designated entities to report their foreign affiliations according to the subsidiary legislations. Clause 19.2 sets out various matters to be prescribed by the regulations which must be included in such reports by the designated entities. Clause 19.2b mentioned the possibility of, I quote, classes of foreign affiliations, if any, that need not be reported, unquote. May I ask the Minister what are the possible affiliations being considered by MHA at this point in time to be excluded from the reporting process? And if so, what are the considerations? I would also like to ask the Minister whether MHA is presently aware of the extent of our clan and business associations receiving donations from foreign counterparts and entities, and if so, to share some details so that we can better understand the extent of such financial support such organizations are currently receiving, and have a better appreciation of the likely risks that such organizations may face. It will also enable MPs to appreciate MHA's concern about the risk of foreign interference on such clans and associations, leading to MHA tabling such requirements. Mr. Deputy Speaker, while the declaration of details relating to foreign donations to clans and business organizations may be a control measure to minimize or prevent foreign political interference with the local clans or business associations, I'm concerned that the reporting requirements should not overly burden the management of our clan and business organizations, especially the smaller clans which may already have their hands tied running their organizations, recruiting younger members, and ensuring their continuing relevance and contributions to modern society in Singapore. I hope that MHA will also be empathetic to organizational constraints, especially in smaller clans and business associations, when regulations are introduced for easier administrative compliance. After all, many of these office bearers and members are volunteers, and staff support may be limited, especially for the smaller clans and associations. This is also bearing in mind the likely penalties which may arise from non-compliance are quite stiff. I would further like to ask the Minister to confirm for good order that the presence of foreign-based donation whether from a foreign counterpart, clan, or business association, or from even a foreign business entity with business interests, is in itself, and unlike in FICA, not prohibited and not regarded to be unwelcome. I say this because there are possibly mutual benefits from such donations if such clans and associations find it difficult to raise funds, while foreign businesses may find that it is a good marketing avenue for their businesses and products. While MHA can follow up on declared foreign entities if it deems necessary, I hope that there will not be unnecessary stigma relating to foreign donations per se, as long as there is no political interference. I would also like to know whether the financial contributions to joint projects between local clans or business organizations and their foreign counterparts come under the clauses of this bill. If so, I'm concerned that their inclusion may discourage joint projects, which may be beneficial to the development of our local clans or business organizations. Mr. Speaker, I next touch on leadership restrictions imposed by this bill on designated entities like clans and business organizations. Clauses 23 to 26 of this bill impose basic leadership restrictions on such designated entities. The provisions require that more than half of the total number of seats on the governing body of any designated entity must be occupied or held by Singapore citizens. For governing bodies with fewer than 3 seats, all of them must be occupied and held by Singapore citizens. Responsible officers of designated entities must be Singapore citizens or Singapore permanent residents. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support these provisions. In fact, I will go one step further to ask that responsible officers of designated entities must be Singapore citizens only, as opposed to Singapore citizens and permanent residents, as PRs are effectively nationals of another country. While their support and participation in clans and business organizations should be encouraged and allowed, the leadership of such entities should remain with those with no other nationality than that of Singapore. Mr. Speaker, in Mandarin, please. 副议长先生，我支持维持种族和谐法案，但我对法案中有关中乡会馆和商业组织的条文有一些提问和关注。我也要在此声明，我是新加坡潮州巴育会馆的名誉顾问。根据法案，中乡会馆和商业组织将必须申报外国捐款的细节。政府的目的是要减少或防止外国势力政治干预本地中乡会馆和商业团体，这一点我可以理解。然而，我担心相关的申报要求可能会对这些组织，尤其是规模较小的中乡会馆，造成不必要的行政负担。许多中乡会馆已经在运营中面临许多挑战，包括吸引新一代的会员，维持会馆的运作，并确保他们对新加坡现代社会的持续相关性和贡献。因此，申报外国捐款的过程不应该造成他们行政上更多的负担。所以我希望内政部在推行这些新规时，能对小型中乡会馆和商业组织给予更多同理心。毕竟，许多会馆的理事和成员都是志愿者，而人手有限，资源紧张。如果因为无心的疏忽而面对严厉的惩罚，这将对这些组织带来不小的压力。此外，我也想请部长明确说明，外国捐款本身不是受欢迎，不是受欢迎，也不是一律被禁止的，因为这并不像防止外来干预对应设施法令 FICA。毕竟来自外国中乡会馆、商业组织或外资企业的捐款，可能会为资金短缺的本地会馆或商业组织提供支持，同时也让外资企业获得更多市场宣传的机会。这是一种互惠互利的关系。当然，内政部可以在认为有必要的情况下，对申报的外国实体进行跟进，但我希望不会因此对外国捐款本身产生不必要的偏见。Mr. Deputy Speaker, notwithstanding my concerns and questions, I support the bill.